Adanna was only 7 years old when her voice became a warning no one took seriously. Her mother believed in gentle parenting, but kindness alone wasn't enough to stop what was coming. This is the story about how ignoring a child's fear became a village's greatest regret. In a small West African village of Okuta, where the sun rose over clear rooftops and the river sang its morning song, there lived a mother named Mama Efe and her only daughter, Adanna. Adanna was 7 years old, bright eyes, curious, and always full of questions. She loved to play by the cassava field and listen to the stories told by elders under the iroko tree. Her laughter echoed like bells through the village, and people often said, Adanna's joy brings blessings. Mama Efe was known for her soft heart. While other mothers yelled or smacked, she believed in speaking gently, kneeling to eye level, and letting Adanna explain her feelings. You don't beat a flower and expect it to blossom, she would say. But this is not a story about a mother's kindness. This story is about how even gentle hearts can sometimes be too quiet when they should roar. The first cry. It all started on a Monday. The market was alive with noise, goats bleating, women calling prices, children chasing chickens. Mama Efe held Adanna's hands as she headed towards the yam store. But before they reached the village square, Adanna began to pull back. I don't want to go, Mama, she whispered. Mama Efe laughed gently. You say this every market day. Come, let's buy yams. But Adanna didn't smile. She cried, not loudly, not the way children throw tantrums. This cry was soft, shaky. Her small hands gripped her mother's wrapper tightly. That was the first time Mama Efe thought she was just tired. The second cry. The next day, Adanna refused to play outside. She stood by the window, watching the forest edge. Her eyes followed every movement, every shadow. When Mama Efe asked her what was wrong, she only whispered, He's there. Who? Adanna pointed, but said nothing more. Mama Efe stepped outside, scanned the trees, and saw no one. Just birds, wind, and the long brown path that led to the river. You are safe, my child, she said. No one is there. Adanna didn't look convinced. That night she refused to sleep alone. Mama Efe, trying to honor her daughter's voice, let her stay in the husband's room. She told herself it was just an imagination, perhaps a nightmare. She didn't know a shadow has passed the window, and it has stopped and watched. The third cry. 2 days later, Mama Efe needed to fetch water. Adanna clung to her skirt. Please don't go to the river. Don't go, Mama. Don't leave me. It wasn't normal. This time Mama Efe paused. She knelt beside her daughter. Tell me why, Adanna. Why you are so afraid? Adanna's lips trembled. He waits there, near the rocks. He followed me with his eyes. Mama Efe's heart quickened. Who? Adanna lowered her eyes. He told me not to tell anyone. That made Mama Efe stand up quickly. She looked around the compound, then towards the forest. There was nothing there. No man, no eyes, no danger. Just the wind and the trees. She told herself again, it's imagination. Children make up stories when they feel something they can't explain. She gave her daughter a soft kiss on the head and said, "You are brave, and I am here. No one will harm you." But she still went to the river, and the eyes watched her walk away. The breaking point. Friday came with thunder. Clouds gathered, thick and grey. The market was packed early before the rain came. Mama Efe needed yams, onions and salt. She told Adanna, "Let's quickly go. We will be back before the rain." But Adanna refused. She stood still. Tears filled her eyes. "Please, not today. Don't make me go." Mama Efe sighed. "Adanna, we have talked about this before. The market is safe." Adanna looked at her mother, eyes full of panic. Then in front of everyone, she screamed, a loud, sharp scream that made heads turn. And then she ran. She bolted from the square, past the cocoa stand, past the mango seller, past the well. She didn't stop until she reached her grandmother's compound. Mama Efe chased after her, heart pounding. When she found her, Adanna was coiled under the wooden stool in her grandmother's house, crying. "Please," she whispered, "don't take me back there. He is at the market. He followed me last time. He smiles when no one is looking, but his eyes, Mama, his eyes are bad." For the first time, Mama Efe felt fear, real fear. The stranger. Later that night, after putting Adanna to sleep in her grandmother's hut, Mama Efe walked back through the village. She passed by the yam store, and that's when she saw him. A man, not from the village, dressed in grey, with a limp, standing by the store, not buying anything, just watching. His eyes scanned the children passing by, and then he smiled. Not the kind of smile of a neighbor. It was a slow smile, hungry and cold. Mama Efe stepped behind a tree. Her breath hitched. Adanna was right. She returned to her daughter immediately, cradled her, and cried. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I should have listened." But the story doesn't end there. The disappearance. That morning, the sun hadn't risen fully. A silver mist clung to the village path, and the air was strangely quiet. Too quiet for Okuta. Even the cock crowed late, as if unsure it was time to begin the day. Mama Efe had barely slept. All night Adanna has tossed and turned, murmuring things in her sleep, snippets of fear, whispers of warning. "Don't let him find me. Mama, he is close." Each word pierced Efe like thorns. She stayed awake, brushing the girl's forehead, humming the lullaby her own mother once sang to her when she was sick. But there was no comfort, just a feeling in her bones she couldn't explain. When morning came, she continued as usual and tried to move forward. Her mother, Grandma Nenna, was already up, boiling bitter leaf tea by the fire. "You can't keep the child inside forever," she said gently. "Fear is like smoke. If you let it rise without chasing it, it will choke the house." Mama Efe nodded, though her heart disagreed. "I need to gather ogu leaves for her bath. The priestess said they ward off night terrors. I will go quickly, just to the hillside." She knelt by Adanna's sleeping form and stroked her cheek. The little girl stared and opened her eyes slowly. You are going? Only for a short while, my love, Efe whispered. Stay with Grandma. I'll be back before the sun touches the trees. Adana's lips trembled. Don't leave me, Mama. He is waiting. Those words again. He is waiting. Efe hesitated. A war broke out inside her. Logic versus instinct. Tradition versus intuition. She wanted to stay, to hold her child all day. But she also knew the village priestess has warned her. If Adana's fear was tied to a spirit, the herbs must be picked at first light, when the wall is still thin between this life and the other. So she forced a smile and kissed her daughter's forehead. You are safe here. Grandma is strong. Then she turned and walked away. They walked to the hillside. The forest path twisted between tall palms and ancient termite mounds. Morning light barely filtered through the thick canopy. Every rustle made Efe look back. She couldn't shake the feelings of something was off. She hurried, not stopping to sing or hum as she usually did. The silence was too deep. Reaching the hillside, she knelt to gather the ogu leaves with trembling hands. They were sharp and wet with dew, their scent bitter and earthy. She prayed quietly. Spirits of the land, protect my child. May these leaves carry away her fear. Let her laughter return. But the forest did not answer, and when she stood to leave, she thought she heard footsteps, not hers. Slow, careful, behind her. She spun around, nothing but trees. Still, her heart raced. Back at the village. Meanwhile, in the compound, Adana sat near the fire with Grandma Nenna. The old woman told stories, how the moon once argued with the stars, how yam spirits dance when no one is watching. Normally, Adana would listen wide-eyed, but today she barely moved. Her eyes stayed locked on the door. Did you see him? She asked suddenly. Nenna turned. Who, my child? Adana shook her head slowly. He's here. I can feel him. Nenna rose from her stool. Her knees cracked. No one enters this house without my knowing. I am old, but my bones still remember how to chase bad spirits. She reached for her staff and stood by the door, her eyes sharp. But nothing happened. The birds chirped. The wind blew gently. Then Adana said something that chilled her grandmother's blood. Mama said she will be back before the sun touches the trees. Yes, Nenna replied. But look. Adana pointed to the floor. The light is already crawling. And it was. A shaft of sunlight crept past the doorway and onto the mat. It wasn't yet late, but it was later than it should have been. The vanishing. By the time Mama Efe returned, her basket full of herbs, her dress soaked with sweat, she already knew the world had shifted. The door to her mother's hut stood open. The fire had gone out, and there was only silence. Her heart slammed against her chest. Adana! No answer. Adana! She searched every corner. She screamed for her mother, the neighbors, anyone. Grandma Nenna came running from the next compound. I only went to fetch water just a while ago. She was right there. But she was gone. Gone between one breath and the next. Just like that. Panic exploded in the air. At first, they thought she wandered to the river to wash her hands, or perhaps went to pick hibiscus. But when the minutes turned to hours and no one had seen her, panic spread like fire. They searched the forest, they searched the market, they searched the river banks, and then someone screamed. By the edge of the river, they found a broken hair ribbon. It was Adanna's, and footprints. One was small and the other was large. The truth. That night, the village wept. Mama Efe laid on the floor holding Adanna's sandals, rocking back and forth. The chief called for a search party. The village responded like a beehive struck with fire. Men grabbed machetes. Women called out across the fields. Children stared, wide-eyed, as the name Adanna echoed all over. Hunters entered the forest. Women lit lanterns and walked along the river banks. But Adanna has vanished. Days passed, no sign. Until one morning, a boy came running from the cocoa field. He's back. The man in grey. He's near the market. This time, the village didn't ignore the warning. They caught him, and when they searched his sack, they found Adanna's beads. He confessed to watching children. He said he liked the quiet ones. He said Adanna screamed too much, so he had to take her away. He laughed when he said it. Adanna's body was never found. Her voice, once full of songs, was gone from the village. And Mama Efe, she never stopped walking. Every morning she passed by the river bank and called her daughter's name. Even after years, her voice cracked from crying. She still whispered, "I should have listened." They built a wooden bench under the Iroko tree in Adanna's memory. Now every child who feels afraid is taken there. Every whisper is heard because the village of Okuta learned that a child's fear is never too small to matter, and that sometimes the softest cries are the most important to hear. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Parents, caregivers, teachers, never ignore the warning in a child's eyes. What would you have done differently? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe for more real powerful stories that stays with you.